We are going to do our first exercise together, which is the power of 10. We have it on the tables. It's this first form. So the first thing we want you to do is make sure that you introduce yourself to your table mates, so everybody knows who everybody else is. We are going to give you about half an hour to do this exercise, and then we're going to have you report back to us what you all came up with. So in every group, and then you should assign one person to kind of do all the writing, perhaps, on the form, and one person to report back. But we would like you to come to agreement on at least 5 key public destinations in Isla Vista. So these are the most important ones. Then list other potential opportunity places that are pretty good or could become really good, but are falling short. And then who the potential audiences are for that opportunity destination. Then we also want you to look at what additional uses and activities could be clustered or added to these places, what activities could happen there, what physical enhancements might be made, and how to connect them to other places. So it seems like a lot. So if you have your 5 great destinations and then maybe 5 other opportunity destinations, then you can kind of think about the ones that really seem to have the most potential to talk about activities, social groups, amenities, and connectivity.
This is in our area.
No, this is for the whole city. Yes, this is for the whole community.
So you can ignore the big maps. Just for right now, you can ignore them. Look at what's projected up here. We're looking at.
And then we're going to have
one more thing.
All right. So after you do this exercise for about half an hour, when you're reporting back, we're going to have one person from each table with their dots, putting dots on the map of your really good places, your opportunity places, and your poor and underperforming places. Right, so that you will kind of tell us, and then we're going to populate this map with dots and just kind of see how much overlap there is and consensus about what those places are. Yes?
Would you mind just repeating the instructions one more time, please?
It's kind of all in here.
Okay, good.
It's in this little form. This way. So we're going to start the report back now, and we know that we will have a lot of work for you to do, so we don't want you to get too burnt out on this first exercise. So we would like one person or 2 people from each group to come up, bring your dots with you, and we'd like you to put your green and your yellow dots on the map. The red dots were the green was for the good, the yellow was for opportunity, and the red were for some problematic areas. So if you didn't talk too much about the problematic areas, that's okay. But if you did, we'd like you to come up and put your dots on the map.
And you can also do that individually. Once you do the green and yellow as a group, and we don't want to dwell on problem areas because we don't want to talk about that very much. We want to start with the positive. So if you have a problem area in mind, and after we're done with the report backs, feel free to put your red dots where there's a problem, and we will get into it later today and tomorrow.
So it's the green dots for the good, the yellow dots for the opportunity, and then to tell us a little bit about why, like for example, I went ahead and I put a yellow dot on the beach, and I put a green dot on the beach. And that is because it is a beautiful, wonderful asset. Kind of underutilized. We heard that people in Isla Vista don't actually all go to the beach. It's more of a regional destination. But if we've got people coming here from all over the area, how do we make more of that fact? Can we capture those folks in some way? So just 1 or 2 sentences about why you put a dot that color there. And then what we're going to do is this evening we're having a public open house. And we're going to have hopefully hundreds of people from the community coming, and we're going to give them dots. And so we're going to actually start building sort of a portrait of what this community values, what are the assets, and what are the low-hanging fruit, and what are the areas that are really the most challenging. So you kind of start it here, and then we're going to keep adding to it with different voices over the course of the afternoon. Okay. Who wants to start?
I'll get it over with.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm putting green dots on our first 5 and yellow dots on our second 5. Is that true?
Yeah, great.
So our first 5 are Ivy Food Co-op Beach, far end of Del Playa, Coal Oil Point, Campus Point, Anasquio Park, Estero Park. Oh, so when we say Anasquio Park, we mean the big horseshoe loop with Anasquio and Perfect.
Okay, can we have another person from your group and put the dots as you're telling us which ones these are?
Because I don't.
Volunteer. We don't know. We're
We
outsiders.
kind of know, but we don't really know.
We don't want to say we know.
We don't want to put you in the wrong place. We're over here. So this is.
So you want us to talk about just briefly what we?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I think we thought the first thing we talked about was just the food co-op as being probably a major potential. I mean, it is a destination, but it could be so much more. And if it had more space, if it was, I mean, I know the building was just acquired, so this is of course thinking to the future. But just if it had a bigger space, if it was in a more central location, or if somehow it were able to have more space accessible outside for events and public kinds of things. So that was one thing. We talked about the end of Del Playa as being, you know, the very far end of Del Playa where there's a little bit of development there. What if we had Wi-Fi out there? What if it were more of a place where people would hang out? What if there was more furniture there for people to be gathering? We talked about, I think the biggest conversation we had was about this whole area. We were talking about the concept of there not really being clear ways in and through, and that this could be a real center for the community, and it could be a place where people hung out more and passed through. And what if there were Wi-Fi? What if there were community-controlled lights? What if there was a just better signage, and you know, really that this was a place where people were hanging out, like we were seeing in some of the pictures. What else did we talk about? Estero Park, we thought was, there it is, lots of opportunities there. It's a big space, lots of activity with children, probably a lot more things that could be done to draw people there. Even, I mean, we didn't really talk about parking, but I know parking is an issue because there's not a lot of parking there if people were going to drive there. We talked about the Pardall Business Corridor as being a place that has a lot of possibility and opportunity for gathering and right here. There have been some great improvements there with sidewalk seating and, you know, maybe more of that kind of thing. Of course, we talked about what would it be like if there was no traffic here. It would become a center and it would be a different kind of feel. Did we get everything?
I don't know where the food co-op is on here.
Right here. Yeah.
So, food co-op, beach, Anasquio and the parks there. Estero, did I mark Estero?
Yes, you did.
Pardall Businesses, the corridor. Community center space is yellow.
Right where it was.
And surrounding space.
And actually, we would need yellow here too, because we thought a lot of things needed to be done here to make this more of a central area.
Okay.
Oh, and the parks on Del Playa, did we mark those?
Use some for
Yes.
us.
Yeah,
I did.
All the dogs are going to be. Where's the community center?
Yeah.
Okay. Great, wow. Okay, 6. Okay, let's do group 3.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it'll be great if you can tag team one person talking.
I'm just going to present
Yeah, I'll
prime
stick.
numbers this afternoon.
Okay, so
Start
we
with the prime
absolutely
numbers.
also found the co-op as a destination.
Should I double dot? Or
Yes, double dot.
Okay, double dot.
Double dot.
Right next to or on top?
I'm gonna make it a clear.
I know, that's kind
Little
of dotted
text,
up. Definitely the Pardall corridor, or the business area.
I'm gonna put one right here. Also, the campus nexus at the end of Pardall just kind of loopholes into. It's a family word.
We identified the top of the loop. Gosh, this is upside down for me. Top of the loop, west side, kind of thinking of the Bagel Cafe, and when the community center is going, kind of we see that as opportunity, and also already kind of a vibrant area. I mean, the Bagel Cafe is always really busy for students.
Okay.
Yeah. So like the food cup is students, and a lot of, I mean, we're sitting with some community long-term residents, and they all go to the co-op. Hardall is, I thought a lot about staff, because we just walk in and that's where we eat, students eat there. Top of the loop, I really thought about students and really excited about the community center happening. Then we looked at the park, Anasqueo Park, which includes all of this, especially as opportunity, because people really pass through that area a lot. I was sharing that the purple dinosaur. I have a picture of my son at 2 on that dinosaur, and he's almost 23, so I got to get him back on that dinosaur. But you know, it's people know it and go through it, but we could even think of opportunities and use that area more. We thought about the Sands Beach entrance. This is really backwards to me.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say there was talk about enjoying the sunset and things from the bluffs, and that seems like a place that doesn't need much improvement because it's small and natural and well enjoyed. But then the entrance, it seems like there's a lot of opportunity as that expands off into the.
And then thinking about the youth in our community, we thought about the teen center. That's really becoming a vibrant area, and it's gorgeous. I had lunch there not too long ago, and so thinking about our teens and after school, I don't know where it's on there.
It's in Estero, right on the corner. Right
Here.
green.
I mean, here? There?
Yeah.
That's
Somewhere around there. And then we thought about Dog Shit Park, which is really too steep. It has real names.
Gap.
Me and Sue.
But when I was a student, it was Dog Shit Park. I lived right across the street from there.
I don't think it's red.
Okay.
Oh no, it's not.
It's a lovingly named.
Yeah.
We have pool
That's
bags
what
out there now. It's working great.
And just a few more opportunities with Vernal. You know, we heard a lot about it in the long-term residents walking through there, and he and I lived in FT. I didn't know it was easy. So we see that as an opportunity, and you know, we talked a lot about.
I did that.
Oh, okay. The bluffs. More about the bluffs. Oh, going onto campus, like from Del Playa.
Good here, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Isn't it yellow? Oh, both. We talk about drinking fountains in parks. So.
I personally think we should have drinking fountains along Del Playa sidewalk. But I don't know who wants to manage that. And then we talked a lot about this space kind of behind Ivy Elementary as it interfaces with the faculty housing and
Red
all the
Barn.
West Campus things.
The Red Barn we talked a lot about. So that's all campus land, but I think it could be community based also. I think we're done. We can sit
All
down.
right, great.
Good job.
All right, good job. Okay, now we'll go to group 1.
So many of these thoughts are going in the same places. All right, when we think of positive destinations, we were thinking of the entire commercial loop, just because there's so many great places to eat, and you know, we end up all over the place there. Another great one is Estero, and one of the things about Estero is we actually get the whole mix of demographics over at Estero. Whereas some of our other parks here, some of the beach ones, we don't get that. And one of the things, and I'm just going to put this in as a side, but one of the reasons we thought that might be is for children to get from, lots of children's in children's parks, but for them to get to these other places that are not continuous sidewalks. So just the thought. As far as another great destinations, Edge of the Bluffs. So everyone talked about the sunset. That's a spectacular spot right now, where there is an fence going along that last section of Del Playa, and then all the way out to the port is beautiful, and that is a great destination. Another destination that was talking about was actually the Bico Garage. Because she says this is the one spot where you can, like, Bico, where you can do music, you can do spoken word. And I look at the housing cooperative as a destination for a lot of people. They are their community, and there's so much potential there. And, you know, let's take better advantage of it. So that's a new one that no one's outside yet. Yeah, the Bico Garage is outside the Bico house, but right there on the Bico property. And then, of course, the co-op. So again, great destination point for everybody. As far as things that have opportunity for improvement, the Pardall corridor, this right here. There's yes, a lot's been done over the years, but there's a lot more that can be done. And then there's the eastern interface right along here. And then in particular, this spot right here. The tunnel has lots of potential. How do you integrate Isla Vista into the university in a desirable way, in a mixing way, in a safe way? So that's definitely an opportunity there. Another opportunity is Walter Capps Park. We have this gigantic park space on the 6700 block of Del Playa, which is owned by the county and taken care of by the park district. And it's smack in the middle of DP. It's 3/4 of the block. You know, if you look at, we were at Pelican last night, and there were so many people playing at Pelican, and it was so much was going on right there. And if you can take that and activate that section down there on DP to be like Pelican, and then get sidewalks so that the kids can get there also, you could create an Estero type of area right along the beach there. And then potential is also Del Playa itself. That's our corridor. You know, that's our beach street, and it definitely gets used, but we want it to be used safely, and we want it to be used as more of a community builder and not, you know, sometimes it's quite a chaotic place. Let's see. Another great potential spot is our community center right here. So lots of potential there, lots of potential with everything around here, barbecue pits. Again, how do we figure out how to get all the different demographics of Isla Vista into this area here? So east interface, barbecue pits, Pardall, north south. I think that's it. Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, do we have, how many groups do we have? 10, we have a group 9? We have a group 9. Let's do group 9.
Okay. Thank you.
We're doing like odd numbers. Yeah. No, the 6 isn't even numbers.
Okay, for our green spots, we had Pardall, people, general. Also People's Park and Soyo. Also Del Playa. And the IB Teen Center. Along the same spot.
Yeah, there should be a green dot on it.
Yeah, right in that corner
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, team. We had a few extras, I guess. Children's Park and stands. Children's Park is like right up here.
That's it. No, over
Oh,
on the
higher,
right.
yeah, higher to the
Go
right.
up Camino del Sur, and then it's on the right. Picasso del Sur.
To the right. To the
Right,
Oh,
right.
there's Children's
There
Park.
it is.
Okay. And then for opportunity destinations, we had the ocean, the cliffs specifically. The cliffs seem like a weird dynamic in Isla Vista. Also, Estero Park and People's Park. And that's it for our locations.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Okay.
Thank you.
yeah, I'm just gonna do a shout out to Jill Sherman for a minute, because there's gonna be a large map that you'll see in the community center later today that's 12 feet. that's gorgeous and high resolution because Joel works in our M lab in the art department, and I just wanted to acknowledge all the work he did on that.
Okay, just want to say that we would like, for those of you who wrote notes, if you could write your, write note, we'd like you to collect those forms from you, because you're like telling us all these things and we're not writing it down. So we want to write it down. So we want to collect your notes by the end. Group number 5, if you would be so kind. And we're very good at reading handwriting. You should see mine.
That's right. Put that circle C in there.
So we have Delphia Street, kind of that whole main area.
Is that an opportunity as a green?
Oh, right. This is that one. Okay.
We have the Hillel.
Go.
Intersection of
Hi.
Del Mar and
Sir.
Wait, no.
No.
Space there.
Yeah.
Right down there.
There it is.
Pardal Street, also that business area.
Harder than it looks.
Ivy Food Co-op.
Where the green dots are.
Yeah.
And the Loop area as well. And then Opportunities, AO Park. Estero Park.
I can do that.
People's Park. And Beach area as well.
Did you want to talk about any of, I guess a lot of people have already talked about, if there's anything you wanted to add to what people have said before?
We have a lot of Estero Park.
We have a game changer for Estero Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a huge space, and we're talking about like how we could better utilize that. And at first somebody brought up soccer field, but then apparently there was a lot of issues with a permanent soccer field. But someone, I don't remember who, but someone suggested putting in a running path all around it, so you could still keep the field, and you could just put a sign that says like 1 lap equals a quarter mile too, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, so people could be running around the park. And then you have the basketball court there and the dirt bike thing there too. It's kind of turning it into like an active.
And then there's children's playground also, so that way like parents can get their exercise while their kids are playing.
Well, I think also the kids can, I'm thinking more of younger kids, can actually ride around or walk around, because you can't really do that anywhere else safely, so just creates that space for that. And then I think there's a BMX, the bike,
Yeah.
but I don't know, is that official? An official BMX area? I know somebody from Santa Maria Parks mentioned like making it more visible, like with signage. And
It's a work in progress right now.
Okay.
So.
So there's just a lot of opportunities in Estero Park.
Yeah, we just need to get the word out that it's there and it'll get utilized more.
Maybe, lighting.
No, they didn't like that.
We said lighting later on. I like food truck, maybe that could go in this area at certain times, and also just bringing more people to that area. So there's just a lot of opportunities.
Good. Fantastic. Number 7. Different group number 7.
Okay, at this point, obviously, we've got several that have already been mentioned, but that's a good thing. So we have Top of the Loop as one of our public destinations. We have the Pardal Business Loop. We have the Bluffs, the Coal Oil Point. I guess Cliff House is closed, but that's still an area. The beach. And then we have Ivy School and Estero Park. And then for our opportunity destinations, we said family parks in general. So
How do you do that?
How do you do that?
I guess that's like
We
the
only have
stereotype.
23.
That's
We only have
stereotype
23, you know.
children's, kind of the parks in this area, so we'll go by children.
Felt that the community center and the clinic were opportunity destinations. And then we have parking at the beaches and parks, so.
Maybe along Camino.
Yeah.
That's about it.
And the Del Sol Vernal Pool Preserve, we felt that that was underutilized, and we know that there are some restrictions and guidelines and things, but thought that that could be looked at. The Walter Capps Park. And then there is a new open public space that's being created, the Pasado Pedestrian Walk.
Oh. Yeah.
Esther, where was that again?
I can, you want me to? I can show you.
It's right here, actually, from Pasado to Del
Oh,
Valle.
thank you.
Yeah, I use it.
The entire
Oh, wow.
You can actually walk through there. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. I do it all the time.
There are cars.
Yeah, it's like, it's sort of.
And
It's still walk through.
It might be a red dot.
And then the last one was the El Embarcadero down to 66 of Del Playa.
Here?
Yes. Was there anything else? That was it.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Group number 10.
Oh, there wasn't a 10.
There's no 10.
Okay.
All right. It's easy. Group number 8.
Friendship group.
Oh, they name themselves. I love it when groups name themselves or teams.
It's actually where the product location was, it's Friendship Manor.
Oh, nobody's putting hi.
My name is Edward. I'm a fourth year communication, about to graduate. And I love IB, yeah. Alright, so destinations we identified as critical are clifftop parks, and Freebirds. Dragon Bottle.
I know.
Who's sitting at your table over there?
Eco House.
Oh, there we go.
It's 6608.
It's already got a green.
It's got a green.
Oh,
Right next, yeah.
And I like the general like house party culture, because like that's a destination of its own, I think.
On some random house.
And like other opportunity destinations in our project area could be like more bands and music, and places that are that's more inclusive of this kind of like culture and environment, and is facilitated and supported in some kind of way. And as a way of strengthening our critical destination, we'd like to see like more community and university support of like allowing this community to thrive, because there's already something there. So like you can't, it's an expression, you know, of like of students, and like you can't subdue something like that, because like they're gonna find some way. And are you gonna facilitate that growth positively or negatively is a question. And I think like what could be supported in this environment is more like supporting like live musical experience, because a lot of people don't have access to like good sound equipment, or they have to use like speakers that friends borrow. But like if there was access to like good sound equipment, like people could have a good time, you know. Like the music is intoxicating. You don't need alcohol to enjoy music. Like if it's good music, like have fun. And like I see it as like a cultural intersection of like everyone around the world and around California coming together and just having fun together, you know? Like at like hip hop concerts, I see like Chinese international students just like kicking it. And it's like, cool, what the fuck, you know, like, how do you guys hear about this? And like, that's cool. What physical enhancements could be made is like access to high production tech for better sound. And I feel like also the architecture of authority that we see in Ivy, because like I feel like even police cars are a part of the community and standing structures, like cars in the city. That's why like Ferraris and Porsches are designed in such a way, because it works with our modern living. And I feel like police cars are seen are also a way of like a visible authority. It's a way that people interact, you know, with their environment. And cars are a part of our environment. I feel like that could be something that could be questioned. And ways to improve physical and programmatic connections, maybe like lighting on streets and authority-supported self-autonomy, like letting students live as they want to. I mean, it's not like gonna dissolve into like chaos, I think, but we'll find a way. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, you guys are great because we're gonna finish up and then we're gonna have lunch. Group 4.
I can't help but think about those maps that also show like where most crime happens, and we're doing the anti-crime map here. It's fun. Doing the positive map here. So group 4, a lot of repetition, so I'll go through the agreed upon green dots. Generally speaking, we had green dots along the parks. We especially like the parks that connect to other parks, and we like to have more connections. We felt like Pelican was a great example for the others to grow from, so more Pelican-esque type of parks. We put an emphasis, and this is something that others haven't done yet, on the entry points. We felt what was unique to Isla Vista were there's only a couple of streets in. And yeah, there's a cool, I loved how Dennis said it's got this cool 60s feel to that sign, but we could have a way cooler sign, or we could have a way cooler entry point at both areas. And so we know that the Stork intersection is growing in a big way. What a great opportunity we felt. So it's a yellow and a green for both of our entry points. The Pardal area is a green dot, also probably a yellow dot. Estero Park was a big yellow dot for us. The co-op was a big green dot for us. What am I missing? We talked a lot about the cap space as an opportunity, so another yellow dot there. And then we spent most of our time discussing what we felt was our big yellow, red, green of the loop right here. And I want to read some of those. We felt a farmer's market there would be a great activity, so I'm kind of going through the list here. Events, so we have some events that go on there, but it'd be great as a scheduled space. We know what's coming. There's a calendar. Seating and shade, so whether that takes the form of bigger trees and bringing in some bigger trees, or the cool type of umbrella type structuring to establish seating spaces. There's some sculptures, but we want more playful, interactive sculptures. And then lighting and fire pits are the other thing that came up, around forcing people around circles, forcing conversation, a natural element to them as well. And then other things we said that were needed, so social ability, we said we needed more accessible playgrounds. The playground, the Purple Dinosaur, it's beautiful, but it's a weird kind of, how do people get there, and do we even know where it is? So we thought more accessibility to the playgrounds. Concerts were mentioned. Yoga, Tai Chi, exercise classes were mentioned for the space as well. So the summer meals program, having it in that park space was mentioned as well. And then our big ideas for comfort and image, physical enhancements, have to do with entry points. We're lucky that we had an architect at our table. Entry points establish something, so a trail, a clearly defined trail. You are entering now would be a powerful statement we would like to make. A plaza was discussed, so the defined trails would lead to an actual plaza. And what did I say? Oh, scaled features. We talked a lot about it'd be cool to have something far bigger than the trees, paired nicely with things that are far smaller than the trees. So that kind of balance of scale. We talked about a big art piece being huge, but then also getting into these smaller room type spaces where there'd be small little art pieces. So a balance there. And then we talked a lot about a stage that would lead to far more performances. So I know a stage freaks some people out because it's like, that's going to be problematic. But on the other hand, we felt like having hookups ready to go and a schedule ready to go, the stage would be a highly used thing. That's it.
Great. And then I think our last group is group 2. Yes. And I was wrong. We're not doing lunch next. We're doing a little break, and we're going to do another presentation. Then we're having lunch. Sorry.
Body's not telling me I'm hungry.
But there's more to it.
And I'm going to shout out to Jay right now that all these amazing murals that are on your table, he actually got a mural printed this week and whipped these out for each site. So we've got the mural center of the world right here. Thank you, Jay.
Great, so our group, of course, touched on a lot of the same points as everybody else, including DP as a green and yellow dot. And pretty much went up with everything being green and yellow because we saw the potential and the actual work that these places are doing. The beach, green and yellow. The loop. And we also identified Estero Park as a green dot, and attached to that was Ivy Youth Center. And yellow as well, because there's, again, potential. And we did have some discussion, lengthy discussion about kind of the relationship between IB and UCSB and seeing whether or not that's, in a sense, a destination. But certainly we saw some opportunities there for making the curtain a place that would actually become a destination for folks.
The curtain?
The curtain.
Eucalyptus curtain.
And we also talked about IB Elementary Field, where a lot of folks gather for soccer games. And IB Food Co-op as a green. And then what I think you coined as the church corridor. So a lot of the churches, including St. Michael's, St. Mark's, and Hillel Synagogue are places that are really green dots in our opinion. And so then our focus was on the loop primarily, and we talked about things such as having more seating spaces. We really identified a lot of the things that the other groups have identified in terms of there's so much potential in this space for people to just come and hang out, to bring their food from the restaurants and to enjoy it, in the park, to have more regular things like concerts in the park, and to also consider modifying the traffic patterns. One of the things that's included in the IB Master Plan is actually an opening from Perdal Road through the center of the parks into Anascoyo. And so thought that some kind of modification to address the issue of entry points would be important. And then also a consideration about having a place for music practice. So one of these outdoor spaces, being able to get it plugged up with electricity so that people can actually practice their musical instruments outside. And that's it.
So that was fantastic. Some of you got further along in terms of sort of the deep dive of ideas, which is great. So we definitely want to collect all of that information from you. So we're starting to see some of these kinds of concentrations of dots, and this is sort of helps you figure out where to get started first. And it's we often say you don't tackle the most difficult problem first. You don't, on a scale of 1 to 10, something is a -2. You don't do that, but you find something that's a 3 or a 4, and you try to get it to be like a 7 or an 8, or you take a 5 and try to get it to be a 9. It's also ways of showing incremental improvements over time. So we're kind of nibbling away at things. There is no one silver bullet. We can't just kind of push a button and it's all done. These public spaces take a long time to evolve, and in fact, we often say they're never really finished. It's a very sort of iterative, organic kind of a process.